This tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Malinovka. There were some changes. This is World of Tanks 1.0. There were some changes to the map, so we have to have learn some new techniques. But this is my first spotting run, looking for the best bush. I decided to go for this middle bush. Let's see if I make it. I am going to get 6,500 spotting damage. I actually think it's going to be more like 7,000 spotting damage. But notice I was able to make it to the bush. I'm completely concealed. I am worried about this tank spotting me. Oh yeah, I remember this game now. The ally got behind me and he got spotted. So because he got spotted, he gave up my position. I took a lot of incoming damage. More than I should have because of that tank. I had to literally push him out of the way. And he really hurt our team by doing what he did. I now only have, it looks like 3 hit points. So I got 3,200 spotting damage. He really hurt me by what he did. He almost killed me. And he would not have had any advantage by being in this spotting position. He's certainly not going to compete with me for range because I've got obviously the binocs and the situational awareness and the recon. I got to add coded optics. He should have gone somewhere else. Now you notice I'm tracking an enemy tank, and the reason why is because if you have, I believe it's called designated target, you get an extra 2 seconds to keep that tank lit. However, I don't know if my allies will also keep him lit, or if it's just for me. It's not specified in the game, in the documentation. You can see that a lot of the enemy tanks have made their way towards the hill. At some point, this spotting position is no longer going to be good, and I'm going to have to leave. But you should make it a point to try and make it to this position. And you could probably do so with a lot of fast medium tanks also, and a lot of fast tank destroyers. You notice I got 4,000 spotting damage. It's more than the damage I could do in the game. I've decided that the targets have dried up, so I'm advancing. Turn the binocs on, find a spotting position, and turn those binocs on. I'm going to maneuver through those bushes. Spotted a new tank. 5,200 spotting damage. I got 1,100 spotting damage on that Rom Borsig. Now from here I could obviously advance forward a little bit more. Get those binocs turned on again. If I'm spotting tanks, I'm not going to move. I'm going to sit in this position until my allies take out those tanks. The score is 3-1. I got 5,188 spotting damage. Now, if you have 2 spotters, there's 3 spotting positions on this map. There's no reason why 2 of us should be in the same position. You have in the south where the E50 and the IS-3 is. You have where I am and the ELC, which is the middle of the map. And then you have the northern town, where a spotter can go through the town, and it has to be active spotting. You have to keep moving. You'll notice that the enemy has won the hill. The score is 6-1. It looks like I can advance from this position. I could probably advance without being spotted, but we're going to wait until this guy's taken care of first. Hopefully my team will take him out. At some point I'm going to advance. I'm going to stay low. And I'm going to look for another bush to spot in. The smart thing to do, there's a lot of tanks up on the hill. I want to go spot those tanks. There's like 5 or 6 tanks up on the hill, enemy tanks. So there's more hit points for me to spot up on that hill. It doesn't make sense for me to spot the tanks at the enemy base. He's moving behind the building, so once he's behind the building, I'm not going to be able to spot him anymore. So now at this point, I decided to return back to the north. Like I said, there's a lot of hit points up there, a lot of enemy tanks up there. I'm going to go across the water. So I'm going to go spot for my team. On the mini-map, it will show you where the shallow water is. So you want to avoid going into the deep water, especially if you have a light tank. Now the question is, where do you get a good spotting position? The ideal position to be is where the VK4502 is. From there, I'll get a clear line of sight up on the hill. Now this is assuming that the enemy tanks are planning to come down the hill. It's possible that they might be returning to their base. We don't know it at this time. So I'm already starting to spot for the hill. We got 6,400 spotting damage. I believe that there's going to be an extra 500 spotting damage that's going to be added on in the post-game stats, which means that my allies hit tanks that were unspotted. Score is 9-3. I still haven't fired my gun. I've done more spotting damage than I could possibly do by firing my gun, so it's been well worth it. Now you notice that T-32 is an easy target for me. I could easily get behind him and fire my gun into his rear. Unfortunately, these tanks don't have a lot of rounds anymore since they were nerfed. Now that I'm spotted, going in, I decided to back off because the E-50 was a threat. If the E-50 had his gun pointed the other way, I would have gone in after that T-32. Score is 10-4. You got to keep them spotted because you want to know where they're going at all times. Now look at that T-32. His gun is pointed away from me. I could easily go kill him off right now. The T-32 is still an easy target for me. Both of them have their guns pointed away from me. And all I got to do is go to the left, and they won't be able to shoot back at me. And that's the game. Base was captured. This tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Highway. I am going to get 5,000 spotting damage in this game. And this is one of the last games that I'm going to play in this tank because I've already leveled up to the AMX 13105 within the last few weeks. So this might be my last game in this tank. So normally when I start out, there is a risk you might encounter another enemy light tank. As you can see, there is a charioteer. So that's why I start out at this primary position, and I have to find a nice place to sit where the enemy can't hit me. As you can see, I'm very vulnerable right there. It's not the best position. And that charioteer is going to, okay, so he's out of the game. So I start out in this position, but I usually advance to a position a little bit closer to the enemy. I've already got 2,800 spotting damage. That would be nice to take him out. Okay, so I got the kill and the 3 hit points of damage on that tank. So I do like to snipe and spot, so I do look for positions where I can do both. Because of the way they changed the map, it's a little bit more difficult to snipe. And I know I'm not going to be able to hit that Indian Panzer again, and it's probably going to be difficult to get that RU-251. So the only way to get more damage is to head towards the enemy base. Get any of their TDs that are up there. There was a TD that was up there that was aimed at me before, who's out of the game now. Nice. So he's out of the game. Chances are the RU-251 is hiding somewhere. I definitely recommend traveling across the highway. Obviously, you can go this way, but there is a risk. The problem with going out in the open field here is that there's nowhere to hide. If you go across that bridge and you get spotted, you could duck under the bridge, and you got a little hiding spot over there. So that's why I recommend going over the bridge instead. So that RU-251 is probably still in that area hiding. Hopefully we can find him. Got to turn on those binocs. Great thing about binocs is that they do spot tanks right away, so you don't have to sit there and wait for a long time unless the tanks are moving. Up to 3881 spotting damage. Got 1 kill, 450 damage. Now we're getting spotting damage on that AT-15. And remember, he's got a fast-firing gun, so you don't want to sit in front of him too long. Well, it's possible that he's got a fast-firing gun. It depends on, obviously, which AT tank it is. I'm sorry, depends on which gun he has. Okay, so I'm up to 5,000 spotting damage, and the score is 14-1, and the game is almost over. And you can see all we have to do is find that last enemy SPG. And there he is. And that's the game. This tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Malinovka. If you watch my games, you'll know that I like to make a run out into the field. However, it's less effective now because the number of bushes that you can head for has been reduced, and the spawn points have been moved, so that you have to go further in order to spot the enemy tank. So because I was spotted, I'm taking my time moving into the spotting position. This is a very powerful position, even though it's not as deep as I like it to be. I prefer to be in this bush over here, but it's very difficult to get there nowadays, especially with the higher tiers. Everyone has a greater spotting range. They're going to see you coming. In a lower tier like tier 6 or 7, it's going to be a lot easier to get there. But what I do is I keep in mind, maybe at a later point I'll try and make a run for that bush. There used to be a bush over here where this little mound is, but now they've shrunk it so that it's too small to be used. So we can't do the effective spotting on this map that we used to be able to do. But you will notice that there's still a lot of enemy tanks that are within my spotting range. And we still don't know where that T-54 lightweight is. Chances are he's in a bush in front of me. So some people might ask, what do you do if the spotting dries up? One of the things you can do is you could head out this way, go through the town, and you could spot the tanks as they approach the hill. But we still have a lot of tanks that are near the base, so I don't think the enemy is going to go to the hill. I'm up to 2,500 spotting damage. $3,700 spotting damage. There's too many enemy tanks near their base. We're going to probably win the hill. We had that KV-13 went out in the open. We had a lot of guns that could have taken him out. Unfortunately, they failed to do so. So I decided to move, possibly because I saw the T-54 leave. And because I was spotted, I'm going to hide in this little ridge area over here where hopefully nobody can hit me. So it looks like the enemy did go to the hill. There's sufficient enemy heavy tanks at the hill that they may win the hill. I'm going to move up into a closer spotting position. The problem with this spotting position is that it's too low, and because it's too low, it's going to be difficult to spot the enemy tanks. Got to move to that safe position. Now my turret is jammed, and that's the type of repair you want to make sure you're safe first before you worry about repairs. So get into a safe position first. And this is one of the safe positions. Unfortunately, I was taken out of the game. So let's see if there's an alternative position. I could have moved behind this rock right over here. In fact, it may have been safer if I went behind that rock. But that's, you know, you live, you learn. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the game for me. Let's move on to the next. Yeah, this tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Fisherman's Bay. I am going to get 3,700 spotting damage. I'm going to use a technique that I have shown in previous videos. So keep your eyes out. I don't see a lot of people doing this technique. It is a great active spotting technique. As you can see, I'm heading towards the enemy territory. There's a bunch of bushes over here, and you can park in these bushes and turn on your binocs, but you're not going to get a full view of the field. What you really need to do is head for this ridge over here, poke over the ridge. You can see I tried to sit in that grassy knoll, but I got spotted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run circles, and you want to run the circles in a certain order. You'll notice that the path I'm taking, my frontal armor is going to start heading towards the enemy. So when you do your circles, you want your frontal armor facing the enemy because it's stronger armor, and you're going to have to deflect the incoming shots. You don't want to do the clockwise circle and show your rear armor. Especially on a light tank, could easily set on fire. So what you have to do is you have to make the circles. You have to go up on the ridge high enough to get a view and spot tanks over the ridge, and then go back down. if you have tanks that are spotted, you don't have to go up. But keep the motor running. Keep driving. Don't stop. Speed keeps you alive. You'll notice that I use 2 repair kits in the game. I use a small and a large repair kit, and I don't use the fire extinguisher. Always keep someone targeted. Always keep someone targeted. If there's ever a reason why... If there's ever a reason why you might have to fire your gun, for example, if you get spotted or if someone comes after you, you want to keep somebody targeted so you can get ready to fire your gun. And the other reason why is because you want your gun pointed towards the enemy, because the stronger armor of your turret needs to point towards the enemy to deflect any incoming fire. So now the T-54, he did absolutely the right thing. He came after me. He knew that I was a threat. The game has shown 3,100 spotting damage. It did get up to 3,700, which was shown in the after-game report. But that's the technique. 3,700 spotting damage. Is that a good number? Yes, that's absolutely a good number. Now, the way you know it's a good number is because if you have to look at it this way. How much damage can you do in this game? I only did 177 damage. And you can do a lot more spotting damage in a game than damage. I've done like 8,000 spotting damage before with a light tank. I've never done that much damage with the gun. So you're doing a lot of help for your team by ranking up a lot of spotting damage. And the other thing is that T-54 lightweight, whatever tank it is, you have to pay attention to when you think the enemy might pull a maneuver like that. I didn't feel I was getting a lot of backup. Obviously, there was a lot of spotting damage, but I didn't feel that they were hitting enough of those tanks. I've had better games than this. So you got to watch out for things like that. You don't want enemy tanks coming after you and taking you out of the game prematurely. This tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 3 kills. I'm going to do 2,900 damage, and we're going to have an easy win for our team. Normally, I don't play on this side of the map. I'm probably looking to try a new spotting position or something that I haven't done in a long time. There's a few different locations you can use. What you really want to do is go as far as possible into these bushes without getting spotted. Unfortunately, I was spotted. Now, what happens if you try to stay in the town, you're going to be a little red dot on the enemy's minimap, and tanks will come looking for you, so you don't want them to know where you are. Looks like I'm still spotted. Or maybe he took a wild shot. I don't know. You can see there are a lot of different positions that you can sit in on this map. But the question is, how much spotting can you do? So the bush that I was heading to when I was spotted by the T-44 would have been a great position. It would have allowed us to keep the enemy team spotted, and they would have been unable to advance easily. So obviously, because I'm spotted, I want to head south. The further south you go, the safer you are, because there actually is a little bit of a slope to the land. I could easily get behind this 252U. It's very risky to go after those tanks using the auto-aim. Fortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to climb this. Yeah, I'm sure I would be able to do it with a little bit of practice. But sadly, it's difficult to climb that slope from that side. You have to go around. Score 7-1. I got 1,700 damage, 400 spotting damage. There's 2 enemy SPGs that have not been spotted yet. It's very well possible that they're nearby. I usually go to the red line because in order for the enemy to shoot at you, they have to turn their guns all the way around, and turning them around takes them more time. They're less likely to do it. There's lots of advantages to being as far away from the enemy as possible. Up to 2,400 damage and 650 spotting damage. Normally you don't want to go on the enemy base. Avoid it at all costs because it lets the enemy know where you are. It looks like you are able to pass by with this tank without going on the base, but obviously you can't do it with every tank. Still got a couple tanks that we haven't spotted yet. I decided to leave my shell in the magazine, although I missed my shot. So at the end of the game, there's a mad rush to kill that final tank, and for you to unload your shells as quickly as possible. Every second counts. That was 2,900 damage, 1,200 spotting damage, and 3 kills. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Arctic region. What I'm going to show you is a spotting maneuver that you can do on this map. See how many tanks you can spot. So you can see that what I'm doing is I'm driving to a little gap area. And if you can make it to this gap area, it's all open field. And on the open field, you can spot a lot of tanks. So it looks like I've spotted 5, 6, 7 tanks, plus got some spotting damage. And I was not spotted. All you got to do is make it to that little bush over there. You can snipe on those tanks if you want. I was able to do damage to that T-95. And I guess I was spotted. Then you have a place over here on the right that you can go to and park to avoid any incoming fire. Okay, so I wanted to show a little bit of a spotting run. It helps if you have some allies backing you up, sniping on the ridge behind you from the north.